everyone, Redmist back here, Ulduar 25 version, and this is one of the bosses that I'd missed out recording earlier. This is Razorscale, a great fun fight. We had one new person with us on this run, and let's have a look at the abilities of the bosses. Now what we do is we split into two groups on 25-man version. We have a group left and a group right, and the tanks to look after the mobs. So what happens is you get these mole machines coming out of the ground, and you get these iron dwarfs that appear. So those iron dwarfs need to be prioritised in a particular order. You focus on the guys that cast lightning bolts. I'm using a mod called Aloft here, which places a very nice nameplate above the mobs. That's better than the blizzard ones, but the blizzard ones will do. Just look for the ones that are casting. The ones with mana, that's the one I'm focusing on right now. It's called a Dark Rune Watcher. Now interrupt the chain lightning as best you can. As a melee, it doesn't really matter if you pull aggro on the ones that cast, because they won't kill you if you've got decent healers, which Orbis have plenty of, and then burn down the melee ones. Now there's a particular set of mobs that come out with a much larger melee dude, iron dwarf, that pops out. So there he is though, he's just arrived, so you saw him in that group. So what happens there is that we're going to tank him away from everybody else. So you can see him in the background there, I'm zooming in. Now the reason you tank him away from everybody else is because he's got a very nasty whirlwind. And there he goes, whirlwinding away. Now that will kill melee and anybody who's near him. So we tank him away in the middle and ranged prioritised on him. Now that's important because what's happening during this fight is that we've got one person, as you can see in the background there, our mage, a guy called Toxin, who's the raid leader, and he's working the sort of chains that you see on Razorscale here. They're harpoons, and he shoots them up into the sky, targets them up there, and brings him down. Now that's what you're doing during this fight, is you're basically killing the mobs long enough and fast enough that the person who's tasked with the harpoons can shoot the harpoons at the boss and bring the boss down. Now we time this. We don't mind if we've got extra adds up. The one that we wait for is the big whirlwind dude. So the big whirlwinding guy, we make sure he's dead before we do the final pull of the harpoon on the boss Razorscale. And then it's rinse and repeat this fight up until you get the boss to 50%. Now we blow Bloodlust early. Some guilds don't, but we do. We blow it on the first time that the boss has come down. Now depending on the raid mix, depending on who we've got, whether everyone's flasked and what have you, we tend to be able to get him down on 2 goes. On this one I think it took a little bit longer. Again, we had some people, one person new to the raid. DPS was a little off on this evening, which is kind of why I'm showing you the fight. It's a little bit longer. This is great fun on 25 man because there's quite a lot to coordinate. One thing that's worth noting as well when you're doing this boss is to make sure everybody stands a little bit apart from each other. So most of the casters you can see here, ignoring the melee, are standing a good sort of 5 yards apart. And the reason for that is that from the sky you see these sort of blue meteorite things that drop down and hit people. If you're all bunched up, they can hit more than one person, and that's quite a lot of damage to deal with. Now occasionally they leave these flame patches on the ground, and the tanks will need to pull the mobs out. Again, if you take one tick of it, it doesn't really matter. As long as you've got a bit of decent healing coordination, that'll be no worries. Easy to deal with. So you can see the boss there has got 3 chains on. So on Ventrilo, Toxin is coordinating with everybody else. The raid leader is saying, okay, I've got 3, let's wait for the mobs to pop up. Let's see if we've got any mobs that are the whirlwind ones. No, we haven't. Okay, pull the boss down. 4th harpoon is fired. The tanks, everybody drags everything into the middle where the boss lands, and we go nuts. You can't pull aggro on this particular phase of the fight. So you really want to pop all your abilities, trinkets, everything, haste potions, everything you want, just to burn this boss down as fast as you can. What happens when this boss has been down for a little while is he casts a wing buffet, which knocks everyone away, and then he takes off again and runs away. At 50% he'll stay on the ground. So one of the things that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to coordinate with the tanks to make sure that you've got your designated main tank for the boss free when he lands where you're guaranteed to get him below 50%. So on the next one we're going to get him below 50%. It's very obvious. He took off on 56%, so the next go he'll be down. So what we're having to do is we're going to have to make sure that we've got one of our main tanks free. So we're saying, okay, kill this tank's targets first. So we'll focus on one particular tank, focus on their targets, make sure that that tank is free. That tank can then run to where the boss is going to land and be ready to pick the boss up. Because once the boss hits 50%, he comes free and he has to be tanked at that point. Now you're going to need more than one tank on the boss when he's free, so clear these mobs away quickly after he's landed and after he's free, because what happens is that the boss places a sort of a slowing debuff on the tank that's tanking him, and it stacks and it gets worse and worse and worse, and eventually gets to the point where that tank will be stuck effectively in flames on the ground and will take too much damage and will die. So you'll need to try and time it right. It's a little tricky to time it right where you switch between tanks. So get the tank that's on the boss at that time to say, I need help, I need you to take the boss away from me, and have another tank taunt away. Be a little bit careful with aggro when the boss does break free, because he does have an occasion, whether it's a bug or not, but I have seen on occasion him turn around and breathe on someone, which is a bit of a pain because it's easy to lose someone. Now when the boss does land, you'll still get those flame patches on the ground, so you'll still need to watch for those. The damage on the other players once the boss is down and free of the chains is not huge, it's not great, so you should be able to keep the rest of the raid up quite easily, but the damage on the tank goes up quite significantly. So here you can see that we're down to 50% now, and the chains break as a minor buffet, and now the boss is free. So the tank is taunted, so Onk does a great job of picking this boss up very quickly, and he starts to kite him. So you're going to need warriors that can kite and maintain a good bit of positional awareness so that he avoids the flames. And then the rest of this fight is basically go nuts on DPS. Make sure you kill the boss quite quickly. He has an enrage timer, but the enrage timer is quite long. You can see here we've still got over 6 minutes on the enrage timer before the boss gets impossible to manage. It looks messier than it actually is because he flaps around an awful lot. He's obviously quite an unhappy dragon at this point, or proto-drake I should say. So we waited a little bit long at that point there to swap tanks. So unfortunately the main tank took too much damage, but we had another tank very quickly pick him up. So down to 12% now. At this point you can see, other than the damage on the tank, the raid itself, as long as people don't stand in the flames, is taking very little raid damage. So healers can focus primarily on the main tank and keeping the main tank up. Down to 3%, 2%, and the last little bit, and Razorscale is defeated. Got some great loot. Luckily for us, the person who's collecting the fragments first in our guild got a legendary fragment as well. We had quite a few drop that evening, so we were all very happy. Thanks for watching everyone. Hope you enjoy the fight. Bye.